Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And I'm still in Ireland, and I'm at the most western point in Ireland, nearly. This is a peninsula of Dingle, and there's a small town here called Dingle. It's a fisher town with fisher boats and a lot of pubs, and yes, there's also tourism because it's a very nice area with beaches, and you can do a lot of surfing and all that kind of stuff. And also, Dingle has a distillery called the Dingle Distillery. And let's get in and find out how they make the Dingle whiskey. The history of this place actually really begins in the 18th century. This place used to be a mill, and we can still see the old water wheel outside, moss all over it, and this used to be a sawmill, so cutting lumber here. But it changed over the times, and in 2012 it was converted into a distillery, the Dingle Distillery, by three guys, and one of them was Oliver Hughes, and this is kind of the founder. Unfortunately, he passed away, but he sent his regards and gave it to Elliot Hughes, his son. So he is working inside the distillery as the managing director currently and leading the business. He started the business with two friends. They came from the craft beer industry around Dublin, but he visited Dingle frequently and came up with the idea and was very good. Unfortunately, the idea didn't go well with the banks, and the interest rates were really high, and it was really not the time for lending money to start a business. So this is what's the story behind this wall. These are the founding fathers. During the first years, they actually sold casks to the founding fathers, and they have all their names on them. And these 500 casks, they actually gave them the money to survive over the first years, to have their first gin, their first whiskey out. And this is how they got their money to fund the distillery, which is really, really nice. The next big step for them was 2019. This was the step when they got really the single malt into their core range. And that we're gonna try later. Good whiskey always starts with two ingredients. You have water and you have barley. The water comes from actually a self-owned source. It's 70 meters or about 220 feet deep, and they pump out fresh Irish water, which is really good. And behind me you see the Mashtun, where you actually mix it with the barley. And the barley comes actually in two forms here. We have malted barley and unmalted barley. It really depends on what they are making at the moment. They do the single malt, which is 100% malt, and then you have the single pot still, which they do about 60-40, with 60 unmalted and 40 malted barley. They do have their own mill, but it's not a historic one, so it's a newer one. But I love it. It's a beautiful mash tun made of wood. Actually, it has a bit more wear and tear than the washbacks because it has more the temperature. So the temperatures are higher. They don't have any rakes in it, so all of the mashing is actually done in the intake, where they take in the grain. They actually do mash it together at about 65 degrees Celsius, and then they sieve it out through a false floor, and then they fill it out with 75 degrees centigrade new water to get in total 5,000 liters of mash. And it really is a bit different between the single grain and the single pot still, because the single malt has a higher sugar content than the single grain. The unmalted barley is a little bit less sweet, has a bit more starch, a bit less sugar, and that is really later important because it produces different kind of flavors. And let's find out how these flavors are created. Behind me are the 5 wooden washbacks, and they are filled with these 5,000 liters, but they are a bit bigger than I expected, and that's because we don't have any switcher blades to cut the foam down. This is because they actually don't do any switcher blades and any foam cutting, because they let it foam naturally, and they have huge amounts of space up there, so the foam just doesn't foam over because it's too big. They say in summer, if it's too hot, then the foaming can be a bit rough, so there might be some spillage at certain days when you have a bit of a yeast that is a bit aggressive or something like that. There's always a little bit of a variation going on. It's a natural product. These 5,000 liters, they ferment for 72 hours in these wooden wash bags. That gives you a fruity and malty flavor. Of course, it does depend on if it's a single malt or a single grain, but from the wash, you don't feel that much of a difference. But the flavors are still important, and they still come out very differently after distillation. So here at the distillery, we see nice 3 copper pot stills, and the copper is really important here at the distillery, but I'll come to that in a minute. We fill the wash still with the wash at about 7% alcohol with 5,000 liters. That's distilled pretty fast, but yet still they are wide and short, and that is traditional for Irish whiskey, as is the triple distillation. So we end up with an intermediate of 20%, 2,000 liters plus 4 shots and feints from the last run, so about 3,500 liters in the intermediate still. And this here is then kind of what makes Dingle unique. You have a short and wide still, big reflux bowl, a lot of copper contact, and a smaller line arm. So there's a lot of reflux and not that much alcohol vapor that can escape into the condenser. So the alcohol has to do a lot of reflux, and it takes a longer time and more copper contact. The copper contact makes the alcoholic vapors more fine, more pure. It takes out sulfur, it splits up bad alcohols that you don't want to have in there. So it makes it much, much smoother, also less spicy. So they don't have a really spicy new make, but more of a smooth and Irish one. The spirit still, also big reflux bowl, same story here, a lot of copper contact. The line arm is a bit bigger than the intermediate, but still it's a bit smaller, so a lot of reflux, a lot of copper contact. Smoothness is what you're looking at. So the new make is mostly fruity and malty for the single malt. The single pot still is a bit different, but it's also fruity and malty with a little bit of spiciness in there. So the single pot still can retain a little bit of a spiciness, even though the high copper contact, so that is not affected by the copper contact. And this is the new make that comes out with 85% alcohol, which is then about 1,500 liters. The maturation is done actually in one warehouse, but they're planning to build another one. They're currently still so young that they're still growing their stock, and they are about at 7,500 casks or barrels, how you want to say it, and actually do their own filling, cask filling and bottling on site, which is very nice. So their warehouse is not just full of casks, but also a bit of their filling equipment and also a bit of gin stock and stuff. In terms of maturation, we do have like the 500 casks from the founding fathers, whereas some of the founding fathers already bottled their stuff, so these casks are not here anymore. I'm not quite sure. They're about half of the casks are still there. And the other stock for their normal whiskey is about 50% bourbon casks, and then we have a lot of Oloroso, a lot of PX casks, and then tons and tons of smaller percentages of, let's say, Tony Port, Ruby Port, Fino, rum, mezcal, tequila, champagne. Very, very experimental friendly, the distillery. And this is really shown by these 16 casks. They're not oak casks, they are different woods. They are virgin, and we have 4 types of them: cherry wood, ash, mulberry. And we have the last one was acacia, and that is very interesting. I mean, they've been filled pretty recently. It says 23 on there, so the current year, but they look fine. They are airtight. There's a little bit of leakage at the bung, but that's fine. and this one looks very nice. So I'm really excited about how is it gonna turn out. I mean, they're 4 casks, they are a bit bigger than normal bourbon casks, but I guess we're gonna find in 3, 5, 4, 7 years time, we will get probably a very interesting single cask expression, or maybe they are really not to be enjoyed, but who knows. I really love it and I'm really excited, and probably it will be good. I mean, yeah, cherry wood, what could go wrong? Yeah, anyway, this was it with the maturation. After that, they do have a big Marion tank, they bottle it, and now let's find out how that whiskey actually tastes. So this was it with the production, and now I'm standing here with Paddy Foley, Head of Maturing and Production.
Maturation and Production.
So maturation and production, so 7 years with the company?
Yeah, 7 years with the company this
year.
So
a lot of experience with maturing of whiskey.
Yeah, and I've done everything, done bottling, done everything to do with the casks, done everything to do with production.
Okay.
So
nice, so thank you very much for having us here. It was wonderful going around and seeing all that kind of, distillery, and so what are we having today? What did you prepare for us?
So first one we're going to show you is our Dingle Single Malt. This is our core release, so it's always on the shelves out there. We first released this in 2021. The recipe for this, or the makeup of this, is bourbon and sherry barrels, all first fill.
Okay. And 100% malt is the single malt.
100% single malt, yeah. So single malt, so it's 100% malted barley. So we've about 60% bourbon, 40% sherry in this, Oloroso and PX inside there, and it's bottled at 46.3%.
46.3.
46.3.
And what is about the chill filtration? I didn't mention that.
We don't do chill filtration. That's why we bottle at 46.3. Any lower than that, you start getting a little bit of haze in the liquid, so you'd have to chill filter to remove that. But you're also taking away a little bit of flavour. Yeah,
the what do you call it? It's always a battle between the beginners and the experts. The expert want it unchill filtered, and beginners kind of don't know that it's not a problem to have the haze.
Exactly, they don't know it's not a problem. So 46.3, we just found that it's just nice point for us. We're not chill filtering. It's a whole process we don't have to worry about, but it keeps it keeps the integrity of the liquid, and it keeps the flavours in there as well.
So how long was that in the core range, do you know?
How long was that in the casks?
No, core range, like how long does the product exist? Or?
Oh, since 2021.
2021?
2021, so a couple of years. It took a few years for us to build up the stocks of liquid to allow us to do a core range. Hopefully there'll be more core ranges in the future.
Yeah, if you are a young company that doesn't have a 19 with their founding, then you do have to evolve till you have
you have to evolve, and you have to plan ahead, and if we put everything into this, then we have nothing for something else in the future.
Yeah,
so we have to, work very hard at making sure that our forecasts are correct and we can plan for the future in relation to it. So this is our core range. It's our kind of introductory whiskey. So single malt, Dingle Single Malt is what we refer to as our core Dingle Single Malt, 46.3%, bourbon and sherry barrels. All first fill, a little bit of second fill coming into it, so maybe about 5% second fill. And the age of this is generally in around the 5, 6, 7 years range. That's the recipe we use to make up our Dingle Single Malt.
Yeah, it's has a bit of that bourbon character to it, but yes, it has that maltiness to it, a little bit of that fruitiness to it. It's a very pleasant one.
It's a very, it is very appealing. It is very appealing. It also has the Dingle character, our character being our new make spirit from the stills, as the maltiness, as you said, and that fruitiness coming through from it. So it has that Dingle character to it. Been very successful for us. We're very proud of it.
Yeah.
Sláinte.
Sláinte. That's nice. You have it comfortable, round. Yeah, you realize it's not like a 20-year-old.
No, it's
below 10, but it's very nice with a bourbon character. A lot of fruitiness to it. Didn't expect that much fruitiness. I like it, and it's mouth-watering.
It is mouth-watering, and it's like there's a little bit of spiciness almost coming from the sherry barrels there as well. There's a little bit of there's a nice long finish to it as well. Nice long finish.
Yeah, at the beginning you have a lot of that bourbon character, and it comes the fruitiness, and now comes a little bit of the spiciness, oakiness.
Exactly, a little bit of the wood character coming through in it as well. So yeah, look, we're very happy with it. It really works really well for us. It works really well for us from a production point of view and a barrel management point of view as well. That you know, we're able to do it, and we're able to keep this going over the next few years, and also allow for other things to happen as well with our future releases.
Oh, I like it. 46% gives it also a bit of more volume, a bit of more kick.
A little bit more of a kick to it. So if that was down at the 40%, you know, you're losing something there. So it just gives it that little bit.
So it is a bit demanding as well. First of all, you think, wow, round, pleasant, and then you, whoa, okay, yeah, there's a little 46, okay. So nice, I like it. But this one was a single malt.
Correct.
So how is it for the maturation? Is it hard to keep track of where single malt and single pot still is in?
Not really. Generally, single pot still maybe matures a little bit quicker, in that a 5-year-old single pot still might compare to a 7 or 8-year-old single malt.
Okay.
But you're really getting fussy then, you know. We don't worry about it too much because they are two different. They are two separate types of liquids, so we treat them as two separate products then as well.
Okay, so your warehouse is kind of like virtually split down the middle. You have like product 1, product 2, and
more exactly, yeah, as well then as the different types of barrels.
But wait, if you'd mix it, you could still call it pot still?
No, you couldn't. Legally, you can't do that. You can mix it, but we don't.
You don't,
we
okay.
Don't. We think our single malt is on its own is good enough. Our single pot still on its own is good enough. We don't want to mix them up.
Okay, so the next one is then a pot still?
The next one is a single pot still. So single pot still. So this is a mixture of malted and unmalted barley.
Okay.
So 60%, I think you maybe referred to this earlier on, 60% malted barley, 40% unmalted barley.
I think I maybe got it wrong the other way around.
That's my fault. So yeah, that makes a slightly different liquid. So this one is part of our recent series, which was called Wheel of the Year. It refers to different times of the year in the Irish or the Gaelic calendar. So this particular one, if you try and say that name.
Sorry, the Gaelic is not good.
Greenstad and Saurig.
Saurig.
Okay. So Saurig is actually the Gaelic or Irish name for summer.
Oh,
so this would be the middle of the summer. So this was released last summer in the middle of the summer. So it refers to different periods or different times of the year. So this one is a single pot still, and now this is a finish. So this spent about 5 years in a bourbon barrel, and then we moved it into a rye cask.
A rye cask?
Yeah, for about 2 years.
Okay, so a bit hard to say now where the spiciness comes from.
Exactly,
if it's
yeah.
from the pot still or the unmalted barley, or if it's from the rye.
Exactly. So you'll have a little bit of spiciness from the pot still. You'll also have a little bit of that pepperiness from the rye casks as well. Rye cask as well. So this particular one is 52.5%.
Oh,
so it's a little bit higher. It's just you want the single pot.
But it's not cask strength.
It's not cask strength. No, we brought it down. Cask strength for us is
high strength,
high 50s or low 60s. So we brought it down a little bit, but you still wanted the liquid to actually shine there as well, you know.
52, okay, high strength, interesting.
So yeah, look, it's in the middle. Like it's a little bit more.
But I think it sounds to me like this is like you have a bit of you have a bit of unmalted barley in there. You have rye in there. Sounds like it's a bit more of a rough one, but. Usually, what I've seen from the distillation, rough is not like your thing.
No, our stills are still quite smooth. Our liquid, our new mixed spirit is still quite smooth. So really, the rough, as you say, or maybe that
the rye
spiciness that'll come through in the casks.
Oh, it's not from the smell. It's not that intense. It's not that spicy, but it has a bit of the freshness of the rye.
So now you're getting the.
But it's nice. It has a rye touch to it.
It has a rye touch to it.
It's not a rye.
It's not fully rye. It's not fully rye at all. So it is. So again, 5 years in bourbon. So it's going to be, you're going to get all the bourbon characteristics there, and then 2 years in rye.
You do have a bit of bourbon in the beginning. You have to have a lot of freshness, a lot of herbs, and a lot of like minty notes, or like the rye also has that pine or fresh note to it. You find there, and then you come into the spicy spicy stuff in the end, like bread notes and baking baking spice and all that kind of stuff.
Touch of pepperiness almost there as well.
Yeah, pepperiness in the end, like a brown pepper or a black pepper.
So again, the big difference here is that this is single pot still. So different new make spirit. So 5 years in bourbon, 2 years in rye.
But for 52, okay, it's just 6 more, but usually above 50 is a bit heftier. This is, for 52, it's actually pretty
Balanced,
comfortable.
actually. That's why we went with 52.5 with it. It finds that balance between the liquid and the casks and still makes it appealing.
I found a 46. I expected to be less demanding. This one was less demanding than I expected.
Than you expected, yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. So what I didn't touch on is your logo.
Yeah.
You have that like is it a stick figure or what is it?
Yeah, so our logo, you can see it there, this guy here,
This guy here.
the Wren Boy. So that refers to
Wren Boy.
Wren. So the Wren Boy. So it refers to a festival here. It's on the day after Christmas every year. It's really popular here in Dingle. It's an old pagan festival, and it involves the tradition and their stories about how it evolved. What that has evolved into today is people dressing up in straw hats and straw costumes. They're going around playing music, going into the pubs, knocking on the doors of houses, playing music, having a bit of fun. So it's evolved into that these days. So there's really a nod to the old, and it's thousands of years old. This
So it's
pagan
like
festival.
Celtic or like Gaelic or
Gaelic, yeah, I suppose a pagan Celtic festival that has evolved, and it happens in a lot of areas in Ireland, but it's really, really strong here in Dingle. So you have different groups. You have different groups of what they call different wrens around town. So people get up in different colours.
But is it like also for children or is it just for...
it's for everybody.
It's for everybody.
Yeah, it's for everybody. It's, go on to YouTube, have a look, type it in, Wren's Day in Dingle, and it's just, you'll see the fun that's
Rain's Day, like the rain, like the drizzle, or like...
W-R-E-N.
W.
Rain.
With W.
The rain is a small bird.
Ah, okay.
And this evolved from when they used to have to chase the bird around the place. The stories of how it evolved. So they used to chase the bird around, and that's how it turned into what we have today.
Okay. Nice. So what is the third one?
The third one then is Droleen. So this is actually, Droleen again is Gaelic. This is the actual translation of the rain.
Oh, okay.
Into Irish. So Droleen is what we call it. So this one was released at Christmas just in 2024. So to coincide with Wren's Day. This particular one, again, it's a single pot still, like the previous one. It's triple distilled Irish whiskey, and it's matured in bourbon barrels for 5 years again, and then it was put into muscatel casks, muscatel sherry, this spent about 3 years in the muscatel casks.
Muscatel was a wine that is a bit more strong, or was it a sweet one?
It's a bit more dry. Dry, sweet, a dessert. A
dessert wine. Dessert. Yeah, muscatel dessert wine. No, I think I get it.
Grape, yeah. So a little bit unusual. We don't have many muscatel casks. So it was just a nice way of utilising those casks. Instead of going full maturation and leaving them for a few years, to be able to put it into to finish in them was just a nice way to utilise and make the most out of those particular casks. So,
was it
Droleen?
I think my Gaelic will not improve.
Yeah, so quite difficult to say, but the stories behind the names is really interesting. The Gaelic. It is a Gaelic region here.
So this was like you had the sun, so summer, and this is like for the winter.
Exactly, yes.
So this represents the winter.
It represents that time in the winter.
That time in the winter, even more specific.
Yeah. So there was this series. There was 9 in the whole series.
Yeah, I think
over 2 years.
I think I've tried 1 or 2 of these.
Yeah, so
and talked about it.
Different times a year refer to different things. So yeah, really interesting, and they're all a little bit different as well.
So pot still with muscatel finish.
Muscatel finish, yes.
Okay.
Again, 52.5% again.
Are you doing all about them 52?
52, yeah. Some of them were 50.5, so just to kind of let the new make spirit shine as well.
So you just find out where the sweet spot is?
Find out where the sweet spot is, exactly.
Okay. I like it. It's a little bit hidden still. But it has a bit of that sweet wine touch to it. Smash it.
Smash it.
Oh, that works really well.
So there's a big punch of kind of very dark fruit sweetiness coming through there.
Yes, but it feels very comfortable.
Yeah, well, it's
like
very
with the
warming.
comfortable and with that, as you said, sweet dark, and with just the muscatel. But now it comes in with the spiciness in the end.
Again, so that's the single pot still spiciness.
Yes.
That comes in at the end then again.
Yeah, I like it.
So
I
very
like
interesting, a lovely long finish again
But
to this.
it feels stronger in the end than it is in the beginning. The beginning is really pleasant,
it's
round, sweetness, dark chocolate with a bit of dark fruits, dried fruits, all that kind of stuff. I like it. Probably have to try it at home. So I've seen a lot with your cask variety, and I've seen that you do a lot of single casks. So what is the future going to hold up? You're going to go full with a single cask again, or expand the core range?
There's plans to look at everything. So basically, we have a forecast model. So we know, like these casks behind us here, they're probably going to go into future Dingle single malts. So there's plans for everything. And then there's a little bit of a windows of opportunity in there as well. So we do single cask stuff as well. So I have an example of a 9-year-old Madeira single cask that we done ourselves.
Oh, so you do a lot of age statement there?
Age statements are starting to come in with us now because we started in 2012. A lot of our a lot of our earlier stock has been used already. So we're really only starting to get enough stock of 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old coming in now that we may have age statements on things going forward. So again, this is one of the first age statement ones we done as a 9-year-old Madeira cask. So we do a little bit of single cask. I know we done some of these for Germany previously.
Yeah, we do have in Whisky.de, we do have the single casks. Yeah, I think one or two we could always have like on stock.
On stock, yeah.
I think the 8-year-old, I can't remember, was it Chardonnay or something?
Cognac finish, maybe?
Cognac, yeah, maybe like that. I don't know.
Something like that. So like this is an example of another single cask that we done ourselves.
You do the whole bottle number, cask filled, bottle date, and your signature on it.
And my signature on it, yes.
Nice.
And my signature on it,
Head of maturation, yeah, nice.
So
And this is cask strength then?
That's cask strength then, yeah. So,
do you do all cask strength?
Most of the single cask stuff is all cask strength, yeah. Because the people who are going to, into their whiskey who are going to buy this really want that cask strength because, they can add their water and they can play around with it then. Yeah, whereas this is more for the, a bit more appealing to the general public, we'll say.
Yeah, I mean, that's the core range, but
Exactly.
Single cask is if you want to get deep into something and want something
a little bit more unique.
The malt heads or the experts.
Exactly, yeah. So and a little bit more unique, a little bit more exclusive as well.
And do you already have plans for the like ashwood or what we had? Was it cherry wood?
There are plans. It's a few years away yet for what will happen then. There will be a small release. So as I said, we can do a model. We know what's going into our future releases. We also have like limited time or smaller series releases or maybe exclusive releases for
single markets,
that kind of thing. And then what's left over, we can play with a little bit. So,
but you're going to try them like regularly?
Yeah, we keep, particularly those ones, we'll try them very regularly. Everything else we try and sample a parcel. So what we say is this range of casks, we might sample them once every year just to check they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Have you sampled them already?
Yes.
How long are they in there? It's in months, right? Because it was 2025.
They're in there about 12 months.
12 months?
They're in about 12 months.
And is there like a preliminary? Is like, okay, this one doesn't go. I'm really excited because
some of them are very interesting. They're very interesting. They're going to get quite a lot out of the wood quite early because they're virgin wood.
Virgin oak.
Because they're virgin wood. So we have to monitor them very closely. So we might we could maybe take that liquid out and put it into a second fill bourbon and finish something in those casks.
Yeah,
we're looking at those.
I think when you've used the cask, use them again. That would be also an opportunity.
Something, yeah. So at least it's that very the woodiness or the very astringency is gone out of it.
Yeah, and because I had favorite whiskies that were matured in maple wood, very, very sweet, but
too sweet.
For most of the people, probably. But the thing is, airtight. So they're all airtight. They look really fine.
They were very well made. So yeah,
look,
they're a bit of an experiment.
Yeah.
They'll only ever be a small release. They'll only ever be a couple of hundred bottles.
Keep being subscribed to Whisky.com news. I will keep you updated on these barrels because I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun, a bit of the experimental stuff.
So I think we're through. Or do you still have something?
No, I think we covered everything there.
So Paddy, thank you very much.
No problem.
That was really a pleasant stay here at Dingle.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, and thank you very much for watching. And if you found this video interesting, then please feel free to share it with your friends. And if you're interested in Dingle whiskey and you come from Netherlands or Belgium, or in Germany or Austria or Switzerland, then have a look at Whisky.de or Whisky.com. You can all buy this stuff there. Thank you very much and see you next time.